Okay, happy Sunday, folks at home. Good to see everybody. We are here talking Cities of Sigmar today. Please do remember to give the video a like. It helps it out. And please do remember to subscribe if you're not currently subscribed. We're covering these Scourge Of Ghyran factions every day that GW puts them out. They haven't let up yet. Saray, how's it going?
Good. I'm excited to talk some Cities of Sigmar. This is a good one, right?
I think so. We're actually going to talk today towards the end of the stream in our final kind of way out segment. I want to talk about who's made out the best so far, who's hot, who's not. But before we get to any of that, we have some science to take care of, as always is the case. So let's jump into science right away. Cue the science music. We have three Cities of Sigmar units, Saray, to consider today. So let's do these. So we've got Pontex Zenestra. This is about as close as Sisters of Battle as you can get in Age of Sigmar. This is an elderly priest lady with a mysterious past, not pictured here in the model. On the backside, there's a skeleton, and that skeleton is like supposed to also be her, and it's kind of unknown what's going on with her.
Yeah, well, that's weird.
Yeah, so it's I don't know. It's an interesting kit. We don't have this model here in the studio. Brett, who I saw was in chat earlier, at least maybe still here, is our cities guy. I don't think he's expressed interest in this wing of cities. They sort of have, between her and one infantry unit called Flagellants, I think, right? Mm-hmm. They have kind of a wing of religious. There's like a little mini religious wing.
They're zealots.
Yeah. But we haven't really played with this wing. We've mostly been doing free guild stuff and dwarf stuff. So, yeah, moving on. We've got also today what we're going to talk about, the free guild Cavalier.
It's a good model, and we're going to talk about it later. They're pretty good now, play-wise.
Yeah, so it's a new model, and I built and painted 10 of these, and they are really... you cannot throw 10 of these together and have them look good in a weekend. You cannot double black coach these, as Meg and I did Friday. So, in fact, I built them, I base coated them with an airbrush, then I base coat them with a couple of layers of brush paint, and then I still went through one by one and worked on pretty much one a night. One an evening for like a few hours to bring out
I think you should leave. I got too much shit on me.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of shit on these guys.
They look great, though. So there's that, at least. Okay.
Last but not least, kind of talked about in today's, with the update today, is the Free Guild cannon, the Great Cannon. Maybe one of those pieces that's like a diorama.
Yeah, a little bit.
Little diorama going on. So I guess we're going to start here at the rankings, Saray. Now, a caveat here. There's a number of ways you can build the Great Cannon. You don't have to build a Great Cannon with this guy taking a drink and this woman. The woman, for example, I did build this guy just like this, but the woman I built actually has a steel helm on, and she's lighting the cannon part. The cannon itself is pretty cool the way it works. If you see that tube in front of the dude who's drinking, well, one, I want to point out his left hand is his helmet, so he does have a helmet on, or he has a helmet available. This is kind of interesting. So that tube is kind of like the middle part of the cannon. That's where they put the ammo. And then that thing that's kind of on the top that looks like a bar, the angle is exactly straight on.
Yeah.
That is like he will lift up that middle part and hook it to that bar, and then she will swing the bar over and drop it down. presumably while all this is happening, I guess while lower it. All this is happening, I guess, while the middle part was already removed once, so that he can cycle the loading. Pretty interesting. I'm not sure any cannons really ever work like that in real life.
That almost sounds more like a modern cannon with like a rear loaded, like you open the breech in the back. It's kind of interesting. Yeah,
it's very close to, like, if they had a revolver machine, you could actually have like the middle part rotating like a revolver, basically.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what's coming down the road.
I was just, as I was saying it, I was like, you know what? I'm saying this. I think I see a mega cannon in our near future.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this, Saray? Right out of the gate, where do you like this?
This is high for me. I love this model.
Okay.
Okay, a couple of things, because it doesn't matter how much I love it. Let's science it. All right, you have a 2-person cannon crew. That's very impressive. The fact that you get a cannon to work with 2 people is very good.
It's efficient. It's efficient.
Yeah. That's more efficient than like modern cannons. I like the guy drinking. Like you said, it feels like a bit of a diorama.
Yeah.
I know that there's multiple ways to build both of the characters too, right? So it's like pretty. You're not gonna have the same exact things on. If you have 3 of these for whatever reason, they're not all gonna look the same.
Yes.
So this is pretty high for me. I also think that there's a high potential for grabbing the guy who's drinking his whatever, and then having another model that we talked about, the goblin who's on the floor vomiting.
Oh yeah.
There's high potential for a diorama there. So that's high for me.
Like a drinking contest that the goblin never had any chance of winning.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that is true. That could be a great golden demon entry. The contest.
Yeah.
So
Dual category.
It's funny. Like, I want to talk about history here for a second. And just getting back from the UK, one of the things I had mentioned was that the beer was all very low alcohol content, and I was like, I can just drink these and barely get a buzz, like get the tiniest buzz after like 2 or 3 of these. And they were kind of like, well, yeah, I mean, the thing about beer is that, okay, let me step back and rein myself in for 1 second. What is this guy drinking? Okay. My instinct, honestly, as a 21st century American, is that thing's just full of water. If I was in this position right now, I would just want water. I wouldn't
hydrating.
Yeah. That said, what's kind of funny is those low alcohol beer contents, really probably like he could just drink that and be fine. And then if you think about it, back in the day, that would have done 2 other things. It would have hydrated him. People were like, oh no, alcohol doesn't hydrate you. Yeah, it actually does. Because people say the same thing with coffee. Coffee dehydrates you. That would be if you were eating a powdered version of coffee. But because you're drinking a crap ton of water, like beer and coffee are both mostly water, it's a net gain on water. Okay, this is a Snopes thing, by the way. You can look this up. And this is pretty common in the olden days to not drink water because it often wasn't safe. And then furthermore, this would have been providing him with some degree of energy as well, almost like a Gatorade, right?
He's drinking Gatorade.
Yeah, he's basically Gatorade. Like Romans used to add wine to their water to drink it so that the wine would kill stuff that might make them sick from the water. So I want to imagine it's water, to be honest with you, but it probably is like ale or something.
I think it's grog.
Grog. Yeah.
Which is what you just said. It's like an alcoholic wine with water.
Okay, yeah.
I'm guessing that's what it is.
Okay. Where do you put this?
This is high. Like I said, this is high for me. This might be... This is in Black Coach territory for me, personally.
Okay. That's kind of where I was thinking. Do you like it more? Or less than the Black Coach? Black Coach also kind of a diorama.
Yeah, for me, higher, but I can see it being lower. What do you think?
No, let's put it higher. I like it. I think it's pretty great, and it is called the Great Cannon, right? Is that actually what it's called? Frigo Great Cannon? I forget. Okay. I'll put Frigo Great Cannon. Okay. Next, it's going to be Zenestra.
Okay. Also, another mini diorama.
Also another mini diorama.
Um,
The back
let's
has
see.
the flaming skeleton.
Just all right. Look,
Ironwell.
back in medieval times, the church was like at the forefront of science.
Yeah.
So that's quite scientific.
Yes.
So that's pretty scientific. However, she's got a skeleton of herself, which from some, timey-wimey bullshit, that is very scientific, but also that seems very not scientific.
Yeah, how could one
you can't break time like that.
How can one be a skeleton and not a skeleton at the same time?
You can't be two things at once.
Yeah,
Everyone knows that. I don't know. I think it's a good model.
Okay.
Feels very Bretonia, the dead knight that they would like bring around.
Yeah. I'll tell you that for me, our top list here, which by the way, here we can scroll down a little bit more. We're almost at 12. We're gonna be at 20 after today. There's like a break in here of things that don't belong in the top 10 in my opinion, and things that do.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that break is Kurdos to Brood Terror. Brood Terror, I like everything that we see. I'm like, that probably looks better than Brood Terror. And Kurdos is the first thing where I start asking myself, is that better than Kurdos? If it's a decent model, if it's crap, if we pull up which we do, we pull up an intentionally crap model, then I start looking, and then I'm kind of like, is that better than Bastion or the Ragnarok? That's kind of like my new.
I think we're at this is below Black Coach, above Kurdos, because
okay,
this is not cooler than a Black Coach. That's for sure.
Listen, I don't think it's cooler than Kurdos, but I definitely think it's cooler than Brood Terror.
Okay.
Can we?
I trust you to put it wherever.
Do I get one?
It's all kind of the same to me.
Okay. I got one, folks.
Justice for Screaming Bell? What do you mean justice for? It's exactly where it belongs.
All right. Last but not least, I'm gonna be honest, is a doozy.
It's a doozy.
It's almost hard to even pull up the Free Guild Cavalier and judge it off of one, because one of the cool things about they're also different. The Free Guild Cavaliers have a little bit of a different lore than other Free Guild stuff. These are not a trained and regimented unified force like Free Guild Steelhelms or Fusiliers. These are kind of traditional European feudal system landowner people who are trained, who are actually better trained on their own, presumably, and show up in times of need to lend their hand to the cities of Sigmar.
Yeah.
So each one's very unique. It was super fun to paint them. This is sort of one of the reasons why I said I went through one a day, because I did pick like a spectrum of a color palette, and I did about 7 of the 10 of them in that spectrum, and then I did the other 3 totally outside that spectrum. And I love the way this unit looks on the battlefield. They're just like somewhat unified, but not exactly. Different metals,
it's not exactly Bretonia with all your different heraldry, but there's definitely room to have a little bit of that flavor, which is nice.
Around the time the Cavalier came out, I'm going to take this opportunity. We like to be positive on this channel. I'm going to take this opportunity to rip on something that I like to rip on, which is Conquest. Around the time this Cavalier came out, about 6 months later, the Conquest Knights, I think for 100 Kingdoms, came out. And I remember pulling it up. Go ahead and pull it up. And I remember being, oh, yeah, this is a big reason, I like GW models more than Conquest. Like, there's just so much, there is so much shit on them, and it can make them hard to paint, but there's just so much more character. That Conquest, I look at it, I'm like, oh, this is actually pretty boring. Someone's going to jump in and go, well, that's actually part of the Conquest lore, that they're really boring looking. I'm like, okay, great lore. Good job. I love the lore. So anyway, these guys, I like these guys a lot, but Saray, you're the senior scientist here. Where do you like this?
I take my job very seriously. We're doing science.
I know it's science. I'm impassioned here, but you rein me in, please.
You gotta rein it in. Bring those feelings in. Don't let it rule you. I don't know. Where does this go? I'm sorry. I don't think this is cooler than a Brood Terror.
Really?
I don't think so.
I have about zero positive opinion on the Brute Terror or Pontex Zenestra, to be honest with you. So we're very different here on these two.
I think it's right below Brood Terror. I think it's cool that Snarfang has 2 goblins.
Yeah, but look at this guy's mace. He's gonna swing that and knock their heads off.
He does have a little gate on his head, which is really dumb and cool.
Well, yeah, there's different things. Some of them have antlers.
Antlers are, yeah.
There's antlers. There's a bunch of different things that go. There's a metal fish.
This guy really should have. I'm gonna put a gate on the top of my head.
Yeah. It is actually like a little image of a gate. Yes.
All right. This is right above right.
It's controversial for sure.
It's right below Bastion.
Where's Bastion? He's 11. It takes the place of.
He is above a clan rat, right?
He is above a clan rat. He's right above a chain rasp.
Yeah, that feels right. Chain rasps are really cool, but not quite as cool as a man with a gate.
You know where
he had to get that. He had to get that commissioned. You know, he had to go to a guy and said, "Can you make a little like portcullis gate?"
You know where I would have put this guy?
Where?
Number one. I'd have put him ahead of Usha. I'm serious. Because I'm looking at all these, and at first I was like, okay, definitely cooler than Iridan the Snitch, which, by the way, I also was another one where I'm like, I don't quite get it. So, and then I was like, is he cooler than a Gore Warden? I was like, he's really pretty close to a Gore Warden. And then I was like, is he cooler than Usharon? Yeah, maybe 10 of them. When you see all 10, they're painted well, and they're different heraldry. It's pretty good.
They're good. I don't know about that. I think if you said the Frigo the Marshal, then I'd say that might be number 1. It could be up there.
Interesting.
But this the regular guys?
Interesting. You know, the Marshal is part of like the regimented fighting force, and that's sort of his role is to rein the Cavaliers in to work with the. Okay, interesting. I actually like the Marshal less than.
Really?
The Cavaliers, so cool. Yeah. I do like the Marshal, though. He is super cool. Okay. What we're really here to talk about today, if you're new and you're wondering, what the hell have I tuned into? Here you go. This is what we're really here to talk about today, which is the Scourge of Ghyran, Cities of Sigmar. Are you ready to do this, Saray? You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Now that we've pissed everyone off.
Yeah, well, me, anyway. I think
especially
you're okay.
Soups is convinced, and he might be right, that this is actually a personal thing against him, this list.
Against him. Okay. So we get, once again, here you go. You can see a couple more in the image here. There you go. There's a couple more Cavaliers. There's the Antlers guy.
Good.
The guy on the left. Yeah, they're fighting some Dreadsight Harridans.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool stuff. Okay. But there is the Frigo Marshal up there on the top. I think I wish he had a closed. Very cool. I wish he had a closed helmet. Then I agree with you guys. I'm super into him. He has that, and he has no helmet at all. There's options. I could have put one of the helmets from the Cavaliers on him, I think, but that's sort of not. It would have been like some work.
Do you remember the Steel Rook model?
Yeah, it's amazing.
He's steel. I would like him in a Steel Rook helmet with like the the bird,
the beaky,
beaked helmet.
Space Marine.
Beakies are good. Beakies are good in 40K and AOS.
Okay. We get a little bit of news about what's coming tomorrow. It says something about swamps, and we're also going to figure out some stuff with commands. That should be exciting.
Yes.
Tomorrow might be a solo show, by the way, so get ready for a lot of Zach. Okay, points-wise, I actually don't know Pontex Zenestra's points, but Frigo Steelhelms went up 10 points, or Cavaliers went up 10 points. We're going to talk about what you lose from them and what you've gained from them.
You've gained more than you've lost, it feels like.
I definitely think that they're one of the big winners here. I'm pulling up Pontex Zenestra right now.
Like I said, up 80 points? Oh my god.
She went up 80. Oh, wow. Wow. That's a lot. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's look at these things. So, right out of the gate, can we all just take a moment to say, fuck Brett?
Brett was right.
Yeah, go to hell, Brett.
Damn it.
So, Brett has been trying to get us to accumulate and paint cannons. I don't actually mind the accumulation of cannons, especially Brett's been building them. It's the painting of them, but actually they're not that bad to paint, to be honest with you. They come together pretty quick. It's a lot of little tiny components that are essentially just airbrushed some metallic color. And the point is that I kept telling him, listen, I don't think that those types of things usually work very well in war games. Like your one big shot weapon. However, the cannon's not bad. They have reined it in, and they've made it not very expensive. So Brett has been rewarded by Matt Rose with veteran cannoneers. Pick 3 Iron Weld Great Cannons, and you can re-roll the hit, wound, or random damage
roll.
Now, let's talk about the stats quickly on this thing. It has 2 modes of shooting. The big shot, which hits on 4s, wounds on 2s, I think is rend 2 for D3 plus 2 damage. I think I have the stats right. I can also just pull it up right here. Yeah, 2 shots, 24 inches, 4, 2, rend 2, D3 plus 2 damage. So under a lot of circumstances, you're going to be re-rolling that hit. But it's nice where you roll 1 on the wound, and you can re-roll that if you haven't re-rolled the hit already. And the damage is D3 plus 2, so it's kind of like
minimum 3. So.
Yeah, minimum 3, 4, or 5. You're really, if you roll a 3, you've made it this far without a re-roll. Why? Yeah, of course, like it's only possible.
Yeah, why
not? So, now what's fun is that it also has another shot, and this shot is called the Grape Shot. Grape Shot's only 12 inches. Often scary. When you get close to cannons, you're thinking, okay, cool, I'm about to close in here. Grape Shot, 5 shots, 3, 3, rend 1, flat 2 damage. So again, this is pretty good. It feels like it has higher value on the big shot, but still, to make the Grape Shot that much more effective over the course of the army with 3 shots, hard to not like this.
Yeah, across 3 cannons, your efficiency is insane now.
Yes. And it is worth pointing out that this is a weapon that can reach across the board 24 inches. There are ways to get this thing to have a little bit longer range. There are ways to allow this thing to move a little bit. Because currently if it moves, it can only shoot Grape Shot. Or it can do the fortified order move, which and then shoot either shot. So you're not really safe from this thing anywhere on the board. And if you have something like Bellacor's not the greatest target because of his unrendable save. But let's say you had somebody like Abraxia. Abraxia, a Cities player can start targeting somebody like Abraxia or Kragnos early.
Yeah.
And by the time Kragnos gets to your lines, he's taking 10, 11, 12 points of damage. Like
exactly.
It's kind of good to do this.
Quite good.
And then how much are cannons? You're like, well, they've got to be kind of expensive. This stuff usually sucks. 110.
Yes.
That's pretty cheap. That's pretty cheap. So Brett is on to something for sure, and I think that this is. I'm glad. I'm glad that they have rewarded him for his love of the cannons. So
yes, his faith has been rewarded.
Yeah. Okay, the second one, Saray, Fearless Exemplars. Pick a friendly Cities of Sigmar infantry hero. Then you can pick up to 1 friendly non-hero human infantry unit and 1 friendly human war machine. So human infantry, that's not a hero, and a human war machine that are within 12 inches of the hero you first picked. So just to clarify, that's coming from a hero, and then that hero, human hero, picks an infantry unit that's human and a war machine that's human. That's probably a cannon, by the way.
Yes.
Okay. While the targets are wholly... Yeah, or what's that? Or
Steam
steam
tank.
tank, or a steam tank, or the stupid Arcanum. But I don't think you would really worry about that thing. Or no, not the Arcanum. The Luminarch.
Luminarch
I
of
forget the
Hish.
Luminarch. I think
Luminarch.
yeah, I think the Luminarch just does mortals. I can't remember. We haven't taken it
Hmm.
yet in 4. Okay. While the targets that you picked are within 12 inches of that hero, add 1 to the red characteristic of the infantry's melee weapons, and add 1 to the red characteristic of the war machine's ranged weapons. So, for context, that probably means you have Rend 1 steel helms.
Yep.
Or the other human infantry unit is worth pointing out is the Wildacor.
Yeah. Hunters.
Wildacor hunters. And it probably means you have a Rend 3 or Rend 2 with grape shot, as Brett's pointing out, cannon.
Yep.
Rend 2 grape shot cannon is actually pretty nasty, I think.
Yeah.
That's 5 shots, threes, Rend. By the way, there's ways to get that to 2s and 2s. There's a warlord trait, a heroic trait that does 2s and 2s. 2s, Rend 2, 2 damage each, 5 shots, kind of nasty. This is a good one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm curious what Brett is thinking. I feel like he's probably thinking veteran cannoneers. I believe the battle formation that gives you range, or sorry, the way you get extra range through a battle formation, so you would be losing that.
You'd lose
but
that.
Rerolling
seems
so much better.
The range is 3 inches, so like it's not like it's like a big deal. Yeah, these are both good. I think these have kind of shot to the 2 front runners for cities. The current battle formations like aren't bad. They're strictly like nice little perks, but they are little perks. They're pretty tiny.
Yes.
Okay. What I want you to be thinking about as we move forward, though, is Fearless Exemplars. I want you to start, folks at home, be thinking about Free Guild Steel Helms. Because the big winners, there's 3 big winners, in my opinion, out of cities. It's cannons, Steel Helms, and Cavaliers. Here, nothing for the Cavaliers, but you can see Steel Helms and cannons, under both circumstances, getting some great perks. Okay. Also, of interest here, another human unit not getting perks is one that's also doing pretty well, is Fusiliers. Neither of these help Fusiliers. Okay. All right, but here, I think we have maybe some of the best heroic traits in the game. And the reason there's some of the best heroic traits in the game is they all kind of have the same general concept. You pick a hero, that hero picks a unit and gives that unit an awesome benefit. That's a little unusual for a heroic trait. We don't often see heroic traits like pick a unit and give it an amazing benefit. Okay, let's go through these kind of quick. Any combat phase, draw steel. If this unit charged this turn, so in other words, the hero with the artifact, pick a friendly Cities of Sigmar human unit that charged this turn and is wholly within 12. So hero charges, unit charges. +1 attack for melee weapons. Quite great. Think about that on a Free Guild Marshal charging with either Cavaliers or, again, Steel Helms. So keeping track at home, you now have 3 attack Steel Helms at Ren 1, potentially.
Yeah.
Okay? And this is a unit that has a 4-up save and has 20 in the model and has 100 points for 10. So 200 points, 200 points, 60 attacks, 4s, Ren 1, but we'll see some other ways. Yeah. The only problem here with these heroic traits is that they're all so good that I think you're going to struggle to pick the right one. Okay, Astute Tactician. Friendly Cities of Sigmar unit, wholly within 12 of the hero, once again. This is during hero phase. For the rest of the turn, +1 to charge, +2 to run rolls for that.
Good.
Pretty strong.
Yeah, strong.
Both of these are kind of amazing on a Free Guild Cavalier Marshal with Free Guild Cavaliers.
Yeah.
I think I like the draw steel better because this army does have little ways to get cute movement through orders.
Yes, exactly.
So you might not need the charge distance. They also have a 3d6 charge spell.
Do they? I actually know that.
They do. So, okay. Last but not least, I like this one a lot as well. This is about the only nod Dwarden and Elf units are going to get in the book, in this Scourge of Ghyran.
Here's your consolation prize.
Yeah. Okay, pick a friendly Cities of Sigmar infantry or cavalry unit, wholly within 12 of, once again, the hero. Same thing. The hero with the artifact is picking a unit. If this unit is a human, in other words, if you have put this on a human, the human can pick 3 targets instead of 1. Quite
insane.
Quite amazing. Okay. Then roll a dice, yuck, on a 3+ until the start of your next turn. But here comes some not yucks. Okay. If the target is a human, +1 to wound. Okay. So you've just given, this is a hero phase, by the way. So this is before you start to spread out. You've just given, for combat attacks, by the way, you've just given a Cavalier unit, the Free Guild Marshal, and a unit of Free Guild Cavaliers +1 to wound. That's a lot of attacks, okay? That's a lot of stuff. If the target is Dwarden, +1 to charge rolls. That's good because they're slow.
Yeah.
And if the target is an elf, +3 to control score. That's good because they suck at control. And they suck at living. So, and on one of the chariots, it turns it to control 5. So somebody has to send a monster.
It turns them into better utility pieces.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I feel like we always say utility pieces, but what we mean is an objective grabber, and that's all it ever really means.
Well, you're not wrong, but also battle tactics, which is also kind of like
battle
grabber.
tactics, I
Yeah.
guess. Utility as in not for combat.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah, I agree with Brett. This enhancement unlocks 40 steel helms as a viable army core. I think he's totally right. But Brett, I think so does draw steel. Like a lot of these do. Draw steel is just 1 unit. And they both have to have charge, but the attack, so these are all pretty strong. One thing I'm going to want to see clarified is, so I think the way I read this, folks at home, let me know, Saray, let me know what you think. I think that this is extra good on the human, obviously, because you get to pick 3 targets. I think you roll for each target. Do we have that right? Because you pick targets. I think it's only 1.
Because you're picking a friendly. Okay. Well, okay. Unit to be the target. If this.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you roll 3 times.
Yeah.
Up to 3 eligible units to be a target. Because instead of picking 1, you're picking. Huh. I don't know. Yeah, that might need an epic.
I think you read down the I think you read down. So I think you will pick 3 targets and then roll a dice, but it doesn't say roll a dice for each. It still says pick 3 targets and then roll. And so I hope it's each. That's probably going to be better for the player. I think you'd want that. But Brett, Brett's kind of making a point before we leave the front page here and move on to the second page of the War Scrolls. Brett's kind of making a point, which is I'm starting to see some ways to get steel helms to be pretty nasty. I think it's fairly easy between orders and battle formations and heroic traits and heroic traits to get them up to 3 or 4 attacks with red 1 hitting and wounding on 3s. And these are not witch elves on the return, right? So these guys have a 4-up save and can often have a 6-up ward. They have an inbuilt way themselves to get a 6-up ward if they're on an objective. So kind of good. The other
I mean, they're not going to be as killy as witch elves, but probably good enough. And
that's right. They're not 2s, 3s, auto 6s or autos with 4 or 5 attacks each. But again, they're pretty nasty. So I like this. Okay, let's chat War Scrolls. They're not even 10, that's right. They're not even 10 points a model. They're 9, so it's 90 points for 10 steel helms.
That's
okay. Zenestra.
Really good.
Yeah, it's super good. Zenestra, again, not super familiar with her in her current iteration. Um, she clearly is not much of a combat thing, so that's not really what she's about. She's a priest. I think she's priest
Yeah.
too. Yeah, she's
A
priest
Fort
too.
Ward, holy crap.
She does have fort board, and she is a priest to Saray. I think she's the only one in
Yeah.
the game. That's unusual. That means you get to roll 2 dice, chanting dice. This means that every turn she gets a prayer off. Humans have, or cities of Sigmar have pretty good prayers too. So
Yeah.
this is like kind of a thing. Okay, quick abilities. Any hero phase. So that's, again, yours and your opponent's.
Yeah.
Friendly wizard, priest, or manifestation with 18. Roll a die. This is nasty. On a 3-up, if it's a manifestation, it's gone. Free banish. You didn't have to spend a CP. Well, you can't spend a CP to banish. You can banish manifestations in your opponent's turn. Your opponent can cast a manifestation, and you can banish it right away on a 3-up if you're within 18. Super good. Okay.
Yeah.
If it's a priest
the one thing is it has to be within 18, so it's not, it's not a 30-inch range banish.
It's not board wide, but 18's good. 18 is 12 is like meh. Okay. If it's a wizard or a priest, it just does that amount of mortal wounds. That means you're really keeping foot wizards and foot priests away from her.
Yeah.
She's a no-go zone. I don't want a hag queen near her. I don't want 6 mortal wounds, right? Like,
yeah.
So mortal damage, right? So it's pretty nasty. Her prayer, which again you will get off every turn because you get to roll 2 dice. You might get it off twice a turn, by the way.
Yeah.
First of all, when she prays this prayer in particular, if she rolls a 1, she gets to re-roll.
Re-roll it. Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Which means she's unlikely to lose points. Okay. Next, it has 3 effects. This is great. If you roll a 10 plus, which you might do in one round because you get to roll 2d6, you get to pick 2 of these effects. Here are the effects. Hallowed ground. By the way, these are wild. These are super weird. Okay, first one. Enemy units using the normal move ability cannot move within 5 inches of Cities of Sigmar units wholly within 12 of Zenestra.
Yeah, that's great. It's weird, right?
It is very weird. This would freak John the hell out. John hates 5-inch charges.
I don't blame him.
So you're doing 5-inch charges, and then Saray, you kind of mentioned it can kind of screw up like pile-in concepts, because it's just 2 inches back that you are. Unless you know you don't need much room and you roll an 8 or a 9 or 12 anyway. But if you barely make this charge, you're piling.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine you're trying to get like a large reinforced unit in, with a 3-inch charge you can get most of it in. Now you need a 5-inch charge. You get a 5. Now how many models are actually getting in after the pile-in? It's just kind of annoying.
James and Ty point out the other obvious benefit, which is redeploy.
Yeah.
Redeploy becomes I think, right, 5, 6, 7, 8 inches away is where a redeploy starts getting juicy, right? Now, on a 5-inch, even rolling a 1, you put it to a 6, that's not amazing. But getting a 3 and going to an 8 is like a little bit
all right, well, I'm not charging, I guess.
Right.
And or spending a CP.
Right. You have to think of all the times that a player might just not do a thing because of the risk, unless they absolutely have to. And this ability, in my opinion, kind of sets that up. Okay, Fervent Prayers is zombies or witch elves that have martyr sacrifice on them. Basically, when they die, roll die on a 6, 1 mortal damage back. After
they're zombies.
Yeah. Good. Why not? Yeah. Put this on put this on steel helms. Send them in. Sound great. Though some of them will do some mortal damage back. Last one is also quite weird. 3 Cities of Sigmar units. Remove them from the battlefield. Set them up within 12 of Zenestra.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting is I think you can target any units on the battlefield. They don't have
human.
human units. They don't have to be near her. There's no range. This is a recall.
I don't see any.
You're recalling up to 3 units back to Zenestra's location, and they don't have to be outside of enemy units. They just have to be outside at 3, but they can't charge. So this is a refortify a position ability. Zenestra goes on an objective, and she recalls a unit of steel helms, and she recalls a cannon, and she recalls a second cannon. And cool, now you have 2 cannons over here, and steel helms and Zenestra.
There's something very funny about making it so that people can't do a normal move. Maybe that doesn't actually work.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the timing on this. I'm trying to think, can you say, okay, you can't come within 5.
Yes.
They fail a charge, and then you recall a unit in between. And then...
No, but what you could do is you could, like Brett's saying, you could kind of reposition a whole wing of your army around Zenestra and not let anything come within 5 of them.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah. Pretty interesting.
Pretty damn. Also, I'm trying to picture, what does this look like? Like, in my head, what does this look like if we're watching a movie? She's just like, all right, everyone, come back.
Yeah.
Just explode out of light and come back.
Yeah, I think so. Listen, she did go up 40 points, and that's a lot.
Yeah,
we haven't seen
80
anyone...
points.
80 points. Oh my god,
Yeah.
That's a lot. We have not seen anyone doing that, but these are some wild abilities.
Those are very strong.
These are very strong. To slingshot out this next unit, Cavaliers, and then have them do their thing, wipe a screening unit, score a battle tactic, and then recall them back to her to go somewhere else and start over again. Kind of amazing. Okay, let's chat Cavaliers. I think this unit only went up 10 points. I think they're crazy good. They dropped an attack, kind of weird, but they now hit on 3s, which is good. They wound on 4s, they're Ren 1 damage, plus 1 damage on the charge Cavalier weapons. We're going to come back to that. The horses are standard horses, nothing special here. Okay, their ability, the red... Oh, worth pointing out, before we move any further, this is a unit with 3 health, 3 up save, and 10-inch move. Doesn't natively have a ward, can get one. A little harder to get a ward on these guys, actually, though, than some of the slower moving parts of cities.
Right.
Unless they fight last, which they can do with an order, in which case they have a 5-up ward. Brett and I have found this unit to be a really interesting Cavalier unit in the game because it is a 30 wound unit with a 3-up save that moves kind of fast. And so the way this unit typically works is it runs in, it charges, it picks an engagement, and it does a decent... It's not a super lethal Cavalier unit. They're not... who's super lethal? Varangard. What's a light cav unit that's even like more lethal than this, right? They're out there. Borrow Knights, I think, are going to be more lethal than this. But what they do that's been really interesting is that after they do their thing, they usually kind of neuter whatever... Like, it could be a hammer. They usually will take enough out that for the rest of the game, they tar pit. And they can tar pit a lot.
They're 3 wounds, right?
They're 3 health each, and then when they want, they can leave because they can move 10, and they can disengage. They'll take mortals, but then this is what Zenestra's thing is even more interesting is you could pull these guys out of combat because the unit that she pulls out and recalls they can be in combat. So you slingshot these guys up, they beat stuff up, they tar pit until you want them back, and then on your own time you pull them back. But here's what's really good. They gave them an ability. Brett, I think they are listening to us. They gave them an ability that is just like perfect for what they do. Since they are kind of a tar pit. Okay, if they're in combat and they did not charge, pick them, and why not, for good measure, a free go Cavalier Marshal or free go Marshal on Griffin. Okay?
Yep.
That's in combat range, and you're gonna want to do, under most circumstances, the Cavalier Marshal, and I'll tell you why in a second. You roll a die, and it's a 4-up unless you are outnumbered. So if you're tar pitting something that is like a big squad, then it's a 3-up. Okay, if you make the 4-up or the 3-up, both this unit and that unit you picked count as having charged, which means their
Yeah.
damage goes up +1. But it also means, here's where it gets really exciting. It also means Frigo Cavalier Marshal, when he charges, him and a nearby unit holier than 12, of which he has to be, Free Guild Cavalier Marshal, fight first, and that unit fight first. Also, this is any charge phase. So listen, these guys charge in during their turn 1. If you let them, don't let them. They do an okay amount of damage. They survive the hit back because they're tough as nails. Then on your opponent's turn, okay, it is only once per game. James is right. The Frigo Marshal only does this thing once per game. On your opponent's turn, if you get the 4 up, the Frigo Cavalier Marshal and your Cavaliers act as if they've charged. Okay, there is an order you can give them that also is +1 attack, only on a unit that charged. Okay, I think that's how it works. And then, so +1 attack and fight first. That's during your opponent's turn. You could do that for 0 CP.
Yeah, and I mean, even within this own Scourge of Ghyran update, the heroic traits that work super well with this as well, right? Giving them an additional attack. With draw steel, or the cosmopolitan leader giving them +1 to wound, so now they're
3s and 3s
with all an attack, hitting on 2s, wounding on 3s. So suddenly they're not just a tar pit.
Currently not a bad unit. For 10 points more, I like this even better than what they did.
Very good.
Okay, listen, Saray, what I want to do now with our last chunk of time, because we want to end on time, because we have another stream right after this, by the way, hobby stream.
Oh, right.
Not you, but I do. What I want to do while we're here with cities, while this stuff is fresh on our mind, who, in your opinion, looking back so far, what we're 1 week down, Scourge of Ghyran. Who are the big winners? I feel like it's hard to say as a loser. Before we do this, though, JPC, thank you so much for the support. He says, I paint Age of Sigmar, but I've never played. I own a good amount of demons and chaos warriors. Can I have both in my army together? And what codexes would I need for play? Chat can answer me. Thank you, spank you. Interesting sign out. I like that. Demons and warriors. So, not
which
really.
Which demons?
Yeah, which demons?
Honestly, not really.
Not really.
So I'll answer this. So if you have lots of demons,
they have
guy. Yeah, you can play. So you can have an army of renown with Be'lakor, and that means you can bring bloodletters, all the marked demons in one army. But there's not really an opportunity to add Chaos Warriors into that. You can add Varangard, but that's about it. In Slaves to Darkness, that's mostly Chaos Warriors. And I think the only demons you can really bring in that army are Furies.
He says Bloodletters and Be'lakor. So he does actually have the start of something here.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, you can bring Bloodletters and Be'lakor in an army. And you can bring, like I said, like Demonettes. You can bring Flamers of Tzeentch, stuff like that. But you can't bring Chaos Warriors in that army.
Right.
Unless you... I don't. There might be a way to... No, because it's an army of renown, so you can't ally stuff in.
Right.
So unfortunately, not really, which is a shame.
Yeah. It is a shame, but the way they've built out the Chaos factions in AOS is really cool. It looks like they're starting to go that way in 40k too, where they're starting to be like, there's no Chaos Demons over here and Chaos Space Marines over here. Instead, it's like, what god are you, right? So if you like a particular...
based on that.
Yeah, JPC, if you like a particular god, you have Bloodletters. I would say look at Blades of Khorne as a potential faction. Start with as many demons as you can, and then start adding some mortals in when you get a chance. That's the way to do it. And Khorne are fun too because most of these books have like a demon-centric battle formation, one or two human-centric battle formations, and then Khorne in particular, but some other ones have mixed. So you can start to like Khorne has one that's very cool where a demon unit fights, and then a mortal unit gets to fight nearby, like right after them.
Yeah.
So super cool.
And at the end of the day, I think most AOS people are cool if you just want a proxy. If you want to use your Chaos Warriors as, what are they called in Blades of Corn? They have like armored
I know
infantry
who you're
guys.
talking about. I forget. Yeah,
I think most people would be fine with you proxying
especially
them.
if they were painted corn. I don't think anyone would care at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Saray, who's the
Yes.
winners for you from this past week?
Biggest winners. I still think that the black coach is the biggest winner. that thing is nuts. Also, I didn't watch the game. How'd that go? It didn't look like it was going well for you. But if it looked because of bad rolling.
No spoilers. I had horrible rolling. But go on mute for a second, folks at home. Yeah, the black coaches were rough, and yeah, we had kind of a turn where John did a lot of damage to me, but then it was my turn, and I pretty much picked him up off the board.
Yeah,
he had Vordry and the new hero guy left, and a couple little summonables that had already been wiped out once. And the black coaches were pretty clutch in that. So really good. I definitely agree. I think they're probably the big winner. I think Nighthaunt in general, big winner. Cities look good, and actually the person who nailed it in chat is Elijah. He said Cities, Nighthaunt, Gloomspike. I think Gloomspike also did pretty well.
Yeah.
Who else did we have? Skaven and Stormcast.
Stormcast didn't get great stuff.
Although Iridan got pretty good.
Iridan is the saving grace of the Stormcast one. The Screaming Bell was pretty good, but I don't really remember the other Skaven stuff being very remarkable.
Flesh Eater Court's okay.
Yeah.
We have another week coming up. Tomorrow, folks at home, will be Cruel Boys. I'll mostly be chatting that. Presumably.
Well, we assumed Cruel Boys. They didn't actually say. They said Swampy. Like, who else could it be?
Yeah, I don't know who else that would be. So, yeah, I'm getting glared at over here. But, yeah, Swamps, usually indication of Cruel Boys. So that'll most likely, Saray, you won't be here tomorrow, but you'll be joining us back on Tuesday. And we are closing our poll. Shouldn't you be at church?
Yeah,
most of you said, I don't go to church. Well, I don't know what to say about that.
It's not really an answer. We're just gathering data.
This stream.
How many Hail Satans were there?
Hail Satans. There were kind of a lot. It didn't. It beat yes. That's for sure. Okay. Thank you.
I don't know if you guys know this, but the Hobby Collab is my religion and Hail Satan are actually the same answer.
Yeah, same answer.
And I don't go to church. All three of those are actually the same answer.
Yeah. And yes, frankly, all of these are kind of the same answer, right? Okay, this stream will end. It'll port you over to our hobby stream. Meg and I are going to be actually working on said black coaches. Just doing some final brushwork, getting them to look tip-top for photography. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. We will see you in a couple minutes to hang around for the hobby
5
stream.
minutes.
Yeah, we'll probably start a couple minutes late, so be a little bit patient. And then tomorrow for chat about more Scourge of Ghyran. All right, bye everybody.
Bye.